pretty much we all have situations that are hanging around us all the time, right? So if there's one that is really loud for you right now, that's probably what you'll work with. But I think you'll have a lot of fun with the introduction of this practice today. So it can go anywhere, but whatever you're present to is perfect. I like something you'd like more clarity on, something you'd like to bring a little more understanding, compassion into, you know. Um, so today's practice, you'll be following along with Keen on his drawing, which you can see the paper there. I'll be on my iPad, but I'll also be calling out the prompts today. We are going to introduce the idea of this next practice. So we'll still be making a face today. And this time we are actually creating our compassionate witness. So this is something that was shared with us by a dear friend of ours, also in the intentional creativity community. But right now, so you can put it places, or we can put it on our mirror or take it in our car. It'll be like a little mobile being who is just there to witness us, to witness the experiences we're having, to witness the experiences that are going around around us, the things that other people are saying or doing. It is a time where there are a lot of difficult things coming up daily. Like if you're trying to work on your computer and you haven't figured out how to shut off the news that comes up constantly, it's very distracting. So we're just in distracting times, and that's why we need things like this to help us remain rooted in what it is that we feel we are here to do and be right now.
And a lot of traditions encourage the cultivation of this compassionate witness within. This process will help us make that a little more real, a little more concrete. And we can infuse that creative process with this compassionate energy so that the the intention and the vibration is in there. And we get to carry that with us externally and interact with it visually.
While also always having that internal anchor point in the heart as we continue to move through that practice as a way to on the go anchor it. So if our compassionate witness is hanging out in the car and we're in the grocery store and something goes on, we're just like, oh, yeah, right. Here, I know that's out there. And, it gives us a way to move through tumultuous times with some clarity and some compassion for ourselves and others. So, you ready?
Ready.
All right, get your pencils, crayons, pens, markers ready. So we will be doing a very similar practice to what we did yesterday. Although this time I'm just going to invite you to start with the eyelid. So well, you can't see me right now, so you'll have to see
Okay.
Keen. So
Here we go.
we're just gonna make that one lid or the one bottom of the eye. It's like a half moon shape. And just go back and forth a couple times. And as you do, it's a simple shape, just back and forth over this sort of little half moon, crescent moon shape. And begin to feel into what is that like witnessing. We witness with our eyes, but that's not all. But right now we're focusing on these eyes. So when you're done with that eye, just move over, about depending on how far you have, like how big your paper is, a little bit to leave some space for the bridge of the nose, and then do that same eye shape on the other side. So when we start eyes like this, they're closed. It already, like, if you just look at this and imagine that we're making a face, you can tell they're just sort of closed like a bowing down our vision. Um, so the next step, now that we have these eyes, is we're going to bring that brow ridge in again like we did yesterday. And it's just a lovely little curve. And Keen's demonstrating that over there. So just again, trace back and forth. Hold your pen or your pencil loosely. And now we're beginning to bring more features into the face. And once you have that lovely curve, go ahead and move over to the top of the other eye and bring the brow ridge in for that eye. And now we've got two lower eye marks and the brow ridge and the beginnings of the nose. And you can just put a little half moon shape under that nose to denote that place. If you touch the top of your lip, there's that little indentation. So we're just going to give that a space to guide our lips. And off of that to either side, can just make a little line to represent the upper lip. How you doing there? Yeah. And then a line to connect those 2 points on either side. And then a nice, generous curve at the bottom, another half moon. And again, the idea of just tracing this over and over again. So we're just really beginning to feel the features of the face. And now that you have that right around the eye, I'm doing my left eye. Yeah, so you're doing that too. Yeah. Just create a half moon shape to represent the lower part of the face. So we're not drawing like a whole egg shape or anything. We tend to be loose and to not connect lines when we draw in this way, because it can look sort of cartoony and boxy if we do that. So just give that lower part of the face some shape, and then just take a moment to look at what you have here. And I think this is probably, oh, we forgot the nose. I'm looking now and I'm like, hey, where's the rest of the nose? So on either side of that line that represents where the nose is, just put a little half circle to represent the flare of the nostrils. And you can put a little dark spot for the nostrils and then bring in the tip of the nose. So now would probably be a good time to bring in some heart focus breathing.
Yeah,
You ready?
sure. So just for the next 60 seconds or so, we'll tune our awareness to the center of the chest, just that middle point. And just begin to imagine that your breath is flowing in through your heart and out through your heart. just a little slower and deeper than usual. So 3 or 4 seconds as you breathe in, 3 or 4 seconds as you breathe out. Imagining your breath flowing in and out through your heart as you focus in the area around your heart. Just find a comfortable rhythm that feels just right for you. If you suddenly realize that you're thinking about things, that your mind's wandering off, you can bring yourself back into that space of heart coherence by simply tuning your awareness back to the center of your chest and beginning again to imagine that you're breathing in and out through your heart. And as easily as you begin this practice, you can bring it to a close by simply relaxing the breathing rhythm back into that normal pace and just allowing your awareness to open back up into the space around you, into the creative space and process.
Thanks, King.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't already done so, let's bring a neck into this head so that it is connected to the rest of the body. And as you draw your neck shape, my teacher says no wimpy necks. So we don't want that. Like sometimes we do this little skinny curvy neck, but the idea is to let that be an extension of the trunk and the base of the skull. And then bring in a representation of ears. I usually just start, like if you touch the top of your own ear and then move your hand over, you'll find that it probably aligns pretty much with your eye. So you can kind of start the ear line there and then bring it down if you touch the tip of your earlobe and bring it over. You can see it comes maybe up, for mine, it's like a little in line with my mouth. So that's where you want to stop that when you're making the ear. And with that, now we have these features that can be open for hearing. So the ear now can have a little space to hear. So we'll just put a darker mark in there. And you get to decide, because this is your compassionate witness. You get to decide whether your compassionate witness has eyes open or eyes closed. If you want, you can just add another lid at the top, not another lid, an actual eyelid, under the brow ridge and above the lower part of the eye. And that could be enough for you. If you do that on both eyes, you can see that this is like a being that has its eyes closed and is looking sort of downward. And maybe that is how your compassionate witness is oriented. There's no wrong way for this to be. If you want to keep your eyes closed, you can put the representation of just a couple lashes on the lower part of the eye. But if you would like your being to have eyes open, just draw your that upper lid and back and forth like a squiggly kind of motion to represent a pupil. And I usually like to go back and forth over the line for the upper lid and then just kind of squiggly bring it down. And and then on either side of that, I'll bring in the pupil. I mean the rest of the eye. Sorry. It's really hard to drop into this and also talk at the same time. So it's not doesn't need to be perfectly round. The eyes aren't round like that. If you spend time looking at people, I do this a lot now. Just noticing what eyes look like. There's that thing that we think they look like, and then there's the way they actually do look. And then there's the trying to make a drawing look the way it actually looks, which we're not really interested in this kind of creative process. We're more interested in the feeling. But just even beginning that journey of noticing, what do eyes look like? What do mouths look like as we talk to and look at the people in our lives? Can be an interesting experience to have. So if you chose to open your being's eyes, go ahead and do that on the other side. And if you would like to have your being with eyes closed, then that's okay too. You can also begin to wonder, is your being speaking with its mouth? And if so, maybe you darken that line between the lips to give some space for words to form. But maybe your being is speaking in other ways. Um, this is a good time to consider what you might want to put in terms of hair. And there we go. We're not going to close the top of the head. Typically, what I like to do is start right around like the third eye area and just make a little shape, a little something. And especially because we're talking about this compassionate witness, like mine's turning into kind of a rose. You don't have to do a flower, but whatever shape you choose there, maybe that is like the secret code for you and your compassionate witness to connect and communicate, whether you're looking at this being or not. So just give something there, a shape, a symbol to represent that connection. So whether your being is speaking or not, you can connect on this more of a like a psychic kind of connection. And then from that, just begin loosely creating. I love spirals. So I do a lot of spirals when I'm working on, what hair might be. This can be a place where maybe shapes come in that represent some of the things that you think about, some of the things that you need a compassionate witness to help you make sense of. So you can just be playful with that. And it can be even a collection of shapes. It can be flowy, it can be short. And just give yourself some time to playfully create adornments around your being. Maybe this being has earrings, or maybe there's, depending on how much space you had, maybe there's space for you to put something in the heart area. But once you feel like, "Oh, I like that, Keen." Once you've got some spaces to work with, the next thing I'd like to introduce is bringing some color into that. But first, I think we'll pause to bring another message from our sponsors to anchor in that positive regenerative emotion, and then we'll bring it into the drawing visually.
So you're welcome to take a break from the creative process, and you're welcome to stay in it also. Whichever one you choose, just begin to focus that inner awareness, that inner eye, toward the area around your heart. And then drop back into that heart-focused breathing, where you're imagining that your breath is flowing in and out through your heart or chest area. And just slow the breathing down a little bit. Allow it to deepen a little bit. 3 or 4 seconds as you breathe in, 3 or 4 seconds as you breathe out. And just find that comfortable rhythm again. And whether you're visualizing the breath moving in and out through your heart, or you're trying to tune into the sensation of that in your imagination, your mind may still wander off. You might still begin to thinking about things. Just keep bringing your awareness back to the center of your chest each time, and as many times as is necessary, just keep tuning back into imagining that your breath is flowing in and out through your heart or chest area. And as you continue this heart-focused breathing practice for another minute or so, just do your best to activate a regenerative or positive emotion. It could be something like an appreciation or compassion or genuine caring for someone or something in your life. And you're allowed to include yourself. Just offer yourself into this feeling space. Just feel this regenerative feeling as deeply as you can. And just begin to relax the pace of your breathing again, and allow this regenerative or positive emotion to settle a little more deeply into your awareness, into your body, into your being. And just begin to tune back into the creative process and into the space around you and the present moment. If your eyes are closed, you're welcome to open them whenever you feel ready.
So now, if you have spaces between some of your lines like Keen does on here, we're going to just fill those spaces in with a different color. But as you fill the spaces in, leave a little gap between the color that you're bringing in and the lines that you're filling in. This is a technique called the glow, leaving the glow, that we use a lot in intentional creativity. And it accomplishes a lot of things. And one of them is it just helps make things look less cartoony, because the more lines that you connect, sometimes the more unreal kind of, and not a great way it looks. But the magic of this, and what I love so much, is that when we're giving that space, we are making a place for the things we can't know to live. So if you just think of, you're coloring in, but you're not going up to the line, and that space between what you're coloring and the lines is the unknown. So we know right now that we're bringing in this positive, regenerative, maybe even compassionate sense into our drawing just with color. And we realize that there are things we don't know about this, about the places that we would like to bring our sense of compassion, and just giving that space to be. There's so much that we don't know, that we can't know. And the more we recognize that that is so and give space, like the more we can grow, and the people around us can as well. And our dog just gave a great big grumble. She stretched herself out. So you might be filling in spaces around the hairline or around the face. If you feel like you've done enough filling for now and you want to make some other marks, this is also a great time for dots. Putting those dots on the face or around the face is totally appropriate here. Maybe there are things you'd like to ask your compassionate witness to hold for you in those places of the unknown. So you could put little dots even in those small spaces to just ask for some support there, so that you don't have to carry it. Oops. If you feel like you're at a place where some words want to come out around this process for you, now would be a good time to free write, and maybe you write a letter to your compassionate witness, and you just develop this relationship. You could ask your compassionate witness to hold a situation for you. You could just say, hey, I'm really glad you're here. I can't wait to face the day with you at my side. Whatever it is you feel like you want to say to open that up, go ahead, and we'll spend about a minute or two writing, because I want to make sure we all have time to connect. We'll be wrapping up with the writing in a moment. I also just want to mention, if you haven't already added any color to your being's face and you would like to, you can use two different colors and just sort of go around the blank spaces, under the eyes, around the nose, and just using two different colors can help add a little definition to your face without it needing to be like an appropriately colored in face, but it just adds a little variation to it, so it's not just a blank area. But that one color on one side, the other color on the other side can be a visually fun thing to work with. So I'm just going to do that on mine.
And given the flow of this creative process, if the free writing exercise doesn't quite feel complete, or if you'd like to do some more coloring or adornment on the face, that's kind of where we want to have you find yourself wanting to do a little more.
Mhm.
And please know that this process will continue to remain open for you. You can come back to it throughout the day or the days ahead and revisit it and reactivate that line of communication.
I mean, I could just keep going right now, but I want to give everyone an opportunity to share. We have about, I know we said these were going to be 45-minute calls, but
Yeah,
they're an hour, so I'm sorry, we were wrong.
we're having too much fun.
We keep trying to figure out what is the smallest amount of time that we can introduce the maximum amount of experience. And, we're still figuring that out.
If you want a bigger experience of this, the last Friday and Saturday of each month, Friday is an in-person 2-hour painting with purpose.
Mhm.
We're actually going to be working with this same sort of archetype and practice, just in a bigger way, giving you more room, more space to explore in a small group setting.
Mhm. Locally,
Yeah.
Friday.
And
And then
then
the last Saturday of the month, we do it virtually, and it's painting with the moon. So it's towards the next new moon cycle. And we get together and paint for 2 hours and talk and have a good time. And yes, like we're holding the paradox is what we're doing here. That's what love does. Love is both and, it's not taking sides. So the more that we can recognize that life is juicy, that there is beauty, that there is tenderness right in the midst of everything else, then,
doesn't that just make it even more poignant?
yeah, come here. This is why we're doing this, because of these very real things that people are facing every day. And this is why having a practice where we have a compassionate witness, where we have like a book that we can record these things, because these kinds of things can eat away at us and they can begin to change our behavior. Especially if we like are exposed to these repeated kind of messages from little up, which we all are to different messages, like it becomes really ingrained. And so these are ways that we can responsibly allow ourselves to have a supported experience with them. So we don't have to feel like we have to carry it on our own or kind of try to make sense of it, right? We can have help. Would you like to share, Keen?
Oh, maybe that could be fun.
Yeah.
I didn't really get to drop into like writing down a message, but even before the lines for the shape of the face came in, I was seeing a little smiley face on the cheek. And just that sense like, I've got you.
Mm.
You know, if things get heavy, if things are hectic or stressful, just look my way. You know, like I've got this smiley face on my cheek for you. So
Oh,
that, you know, that just felt like that compassionate witness.
yeah, love that. Thanks, Keen.
Mhm.
Where's mine? I did mine. It's going to be probably hard
You
to
could do
see.
it over here.
Oh, yeah, there. So it's probably a terrible thing to look at because of the lighting, but there's my little being. And the message that I got was I see you, like see with the eyes, but then I see you and like the intensive care unit, which is actually something that Emma, our friend who's going to join us for the next level adventure of all of this, brought to my awareness. And it's something that she's developing. But I love it so much. So it's ICU, like intensive care unit, like the intensive caring that we all need
Mhm.
to move through these times. And I see you, like witnessing. So that's,
I like that.
yeah, that's my compassionate witness. What'd you say? Life lands differently
Mhm.
when we do things like this. Like these are radical things to be doing.
And fun fact is that they're lasting. When we engage in the creative process with intention, our brain has to take some of the real estate that and energy that it uses to be with the difficult things and to be with past negative experiences. It has to give up some of that in order to welcome the creative process in and be engaged with it. So everything gets to soften a little bit. That's so good.
Oh my gosh. So when I'm in that space, like that's what happens. Like the compassionate witness, when I feel her presence, what is there but to bow your head and let the tears come,
Mhm.
you know? Um, that is what happens
Yeah.
when we look at the totality of what is occurring on this planet.
If we have a compassionate witness somewhere around us or within us, they've got to be in tears just to witness
Oh yeah.
some of the places we've been and the places we are now. You know, it's moving to experience somebody else's journey and especially our own.
Yeah.
So tears are very
Tears are
appropriate.
very appropriate for
But
that.
just the idea of compassion, you know, like it's a longing to help end suffering. And oftentimes we really
We
can't do
can't
that,
do an
but we
exact.
can hold the space and offer that feeling, that sentiment. I want your suffering to be less for you. And if we can do that for ourselves, like just to have that vibration in our midst is transformative.